Hey, friend, and welcome back to Knit Your Stress Away. If you've been feeling overwhelmed lately, constantly reaching for your phone to have that mental break, but ending up feeling even more drained than before, today's episode is going to feel like a deep breath for you. We're talking all about knitting for mindfulness and what that really means, how it works, and maybe most importantly, how to actually make time for it, even when life feels nonstop. I know a lot of us feel this one big time, and we all could use some help figuring out how to weave in more downtime, more knitting time. And I have something super exciting to share with you as well. For the first time ever, the doors are open to my brand new challenge called Phone Down, Needles Up. It all kicks off on April 21st, which is next Monday, and I will tell you exactly how to join at the end of this episode. So let's dive into the power behind our stitches. Welcome to Knit Your Stress Away. I am Nadine Medina, a mom who rediscovered knitting during a stressful season and found it to be the ultimate way to relax, recharge, and reconnect with myself. If you're feeling overwhelmed and wondering if there's a creative outlet that could actually help you feel calmer and in more control, you're in the right place. In this podcast, I'll show you how knitting can be a simple, stress-busting tool, even if you've never picked up needles before. So take a deep breath, let go of the chaos for a moment, and let's explore how knitting could become your new favorite way to find calm and joy. All right, here we go. So what is knitting for mindfulness? It is certainly not about perfection, and it's also not about productivity of any kind. It is about being present. Because when you knit with intention, you actually create a rhythm that calms your nervous system, which is so fascinating to me because this hobby is almost like disguising itself as just a hobby, just a thing you do because you enjoy doing it. But that's not all there's to it, right? The repetitive motion, when you're feeling the yarn in your hands, the focus that you, for most projects, need to have on most stitches or, the pattern that you're working on, it all sends this message to your brain that says you're safe, you're absolutely allowed to slow down, and you do not have to do all the things right now. You can take your time to be present in this moment. So in that sense, it's almost like a meditation, but with your hands. For me, the best part about all of that is also that it helps me not worry about grabbing my phone because my hands are busy. So it does take some time. It's a bit of a learning curve to really not just put the knitting down and be like, okay, I'm just going to grab my phone. But there are a couple of ways to do that. And we're going to talk about more of that in just a second. But let me be honest, when I first picked up knitting again, so for those of you who have been around here for a little while, you may know I started knitting and I learned knitting when I was a teenager back in Germany where I grew up. And then for some reason in my early 20s, I just quit. I stopped knitting and I honestly don't remember why, because I really loved it even back then. I made a sweater when I was like 14 or 15 and with the help of my grandmother who actually taught me knitting. So it was a lot of fun and I really did enjoy it. And I was so proud of myself of that work, which is another really, really big reason why knitting is such a great tool for self-care. But somehow I took a break. I didn't pick it up until 2020 when a lot of people picked up new hobbies, right? Because of the pandemic. But even then, when I first picked it up again, after like 20 some years, I was not thinking about it being something that will add to my mindfulness. It was just like, oh, it's coming across my Instagram feed and I remember enjoying it. So, you can make really nice things. Let's try that out again. I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to make it or how to do this again. I just wanted that break and I just wanted to make some pretty stuff. But the more I actually was using my needles and my knitting needles and making things, the more I realized this is not just something that I can do because I'm good at it. This is actually something that can become my anchor. This can be my daily go-to for mindfulness, for self-care, for, just having some me time and eliminating the darn doom scroll. So that brings me to the real big one, right? The thing that actually helps you eliminate the mindless scrolling. And I think that's such a huge benefit of this craft is that your hands are busy, right? Your hands are busy when you knit, which, I mean, unless you use your elbow maybe to scroll your phone, you can't. I think it's fantastic. And I think we all need it. So obviously, we all do it. We pick up our phone at any given time during the day. Usually it happens when we are, well, let's say, there are times when you pick up your phone because you have to. You have to write something on a to-do list. You have to maybe write something on a shopping list. Someone sent you a text, or you need to send someone a text, maybe an email, right? But let's all be very real. We do pick up our phone a lot of times because we are bored, which isn't to say that we have nothing to do, but it's this sense of, I don't want to do the thing that I actually need to do, so let me just do the next very easy thing, which is grabbing my phone and opening Instagram or Facebook, right? So we also might open it when we think we need a break, like a mental break, an unwinding break, or even at night when we're like, okay, it's time to chill. I'm grabbing my phone because it seems like that would relax me. But for me personally, the experience is I always ended up feeling worse. I would not feel relaxed. I feel more anxious. I feel overstimulated. I feel the comparison creeping in to other people online, and it made me feel less than. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough so here's the thing, right? We all do this on social media generally. We do not necessarily put all the things that are part of our lives. Like we put down our what I call highlight reel. So all the good things that you're doing, all the fun stuff that you're doing, the things you're proud of, the things that you want others to see. We do not add the things that cause chaos in our lives or that we are not proud of or that make us upset, or the list goes on. There's ups and downs for everyone every single day, but what we see online, and usually what we put out online, so it's normal for us to see only that from other people, is the good stuff. And it's very natural then to look at that stuff from other people and be like, oh my God, I'm clearly dropping the ball in my life because my life doesn't look like that. I don't have it all together, but all these people look like they have it all together. Interesting fact, right? They think the same about you based on your stuff that you put on social media. That's just a natural side effect of it. But if we don't think about it that way, it can very easily become this thing that we compare to, that we use as the benchmark for our own life, and it will make us feel shitty. And just think about that for a second. And, think about how often that happens to you and how often you do that. And also, I want you to kind of go a little bit introspective here and think about, how does your phone make you feel? Like at the end of the day, do you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I was on my phone for 6 hours today, right? When you look at your screen time. Or I'm so glad that I wasted that half an hour on Instagram that absolutely had nothing to show for. If you do watch a couple of reels that really make you laugh, I think that is a fun thing, because we all need that break where, just laugh at random things that have no other reason than to, make you laugh. But it's so easy to get sucked in. Another thing is not necessarily the social media, but news. If you have notifications on for news, you might get sucked into more news and more news and more news. And usually those don't make us feel great either. There are rarely news that are exciting and happy, which is another reason why having them at our fingertips is not necessarily always the best thing. Another thing we might do is look at our emails on our phones. And I think having notifications on for your emails on your phone it can be a real problem because there's so many. And it's easy to react to a notification in the moment. So, just a little side note, turn those notifications off and just go into your email maybe 3 times per day, right? And that way you kind of eliminating that in between, like, oh, there's a notification, I'm going to grab that. So we have to kind of work in some boundaries into our phone usage to really keep ourselves from grabbing that phone. So it seems like there's a lot of things that we use our phone for that then has nothing to show for the time that we actually spend on it. And I think knitting can really flip that script. It definitely did that for me. And that's why I'm talking about it here on the podcast, because I know a lot of us have this like idea of, oh gosh, I just don't have time. I just don't have time to do this or to do something for myself or to sit down and knit. I just don't have time. You can't even imagine doing that. But if you look at how much time you actually spend on your phone, without something that is actually urgently that needs to urgently get done, or that is, something like adding something to a grocery list, or truly, reacting to someone who needed you in that moment. Instead of getting sucked into a feed of other people's lives, right, we can now create something with our own hands. And at the end of that, you have something to show for. You have not only a piece of beautiful clothing or a scarf or something else in your hand that you can use, but you also have relaxation to show for. You feel better. Your mental health has gotten a boost. It is engaging versus escaping. You're not escaping into like a scroll of social media or other people's things, or even worse, things that you can buy. Because let's face it, when you go to Instagram or Facebook these days, it doesn't matter. You scroll a couple posts and there's an ad. You do that on stories. You do that in the feed. And yeah, some of those things are really cool. So I've bought stuff because of an Instagram ad. And this is where that escape comes in, right? It's almost like instead of going to a store, you do the online shopping, but now you actually do that while you're scrolling your social media. So it's everywhere and you get sucked into that. But you can actually engage in an activity now, like knitting, that will give you so many benefits. And not only the piece that you're knitting and the thing that you can show or feel proud of, but it actually gives you real relaxation. It gives you real restoration, and it slows you down. It slows your mind down. And it is such a game changer if you are willing to try and to actually make time for it. And here's the coolest part. You do not need like an hour at a time to make this work for you, right? Because you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, Nadine, but I actually really don't have the time. And I completely get it. I am a mom of 3. My kids are home all day, and time for myself certainly does feel like a luxury most days, to be honest. But here's the secret. Like I just said, you do not need a whole hour. You can do this in 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And if you're getting used to working 5 to 10 minutes of knitting time into your schedule, then you might be able to stretch that out for longer, because you're going to realize how good it is for you, how good it feels, and how much calmer you are because of it. Knitting is one of the most flexible hobbies because it can meet you wherever you are right now. And I think that is such a fantastic, positive point to make for this craft versus a lot of other ones. Not necessarily just handcrafts, but any hobbies. You usually need a lot of tools, right? You need a lot of tools. You need a place to sit, possibly a table. It really does depend on what you're trying to do. But in most cases of a hobby, you need an extra designated space for it. For knitting, you can sneak those calming stitches in so many ways and so many moments, right? While waiting, for example, in the school pickup line, you're in your car, you got your knitting with you, and you get there 5 minutes early, and then you have some time to knit. Or during your favorite podcast, I hope you're knitting right now, unless you're on a walk, which I find an amazing use of your time while you're listening to podcasts as well. You can also do it while your kids are actually independently playing, depending on the age of your children. I actually have my knitting with me quite often when my kids are doing school. So I'll have my knitting there. I finish a little bit of my own work. But then instead of, for example, reading a book, which is not always great while my kids are doing school because they ask me questions, I have my knitting because I can still answer questions while I'm getting some stitches in. Also helps when your kids are going crazy and they fight and you're just like, okay, let's just keep knitting because I don't need this. It helps. Or at the end of the day, instead of doom scrolling on your phone and realizing, oh my gosh, it's 11:30 and I'm not in bed again. The knitting will do completely different things to your brain when you trying to wind down. So at night, for example, this is like the perfect example to use knitting instead of your phone, is to getting ready for bed. Number one, you don't have the blue light that comes from your screen and that can actually mess with your circadian rhythm, which is the rhythm that keeps you in, awake and sleep mode. It won't mess that up because you're not looking at a screen the entire time. It is also going to help you feel relaxed and calm because you're not constantly comparing yourself to someone else on your screen. You're not responding to emails on someone else's time because you're like, oh, I'm being reactive right now. Like I got to get all these things reacted to. No, do that on your own time. Schedule that time in during the day. Do not do that while you're sitting on your couch trying to relax, because you're going to find yourself at 11:30 and be like, what the heck did I do? I don't feel relaxed. I'm not relaxed. And now it's time for bed. And I don't even feel like I'm ready. And, I have taken some downtime. It's the worst feeling because then you have to just do it all over again the next day. And you just don't feel like there has been any winding down or any relaxation. But think about it this way. You put your phone down after the dinner rush, cleaning up, everything's done, everybody's fed, everybody's ready. You can put your phone in the corner. As a matter of fact, you can do it before the dinner time because that way you don't even look at it while you're making dinner or while you're sitting with your family having dinner. Phone's away. And after that, maybe you do one last round of checking messages, although I don't even recommend that because I'm always of the opinion, if someone needs me urgently, they will call me. And certainly at 8 p.m. or so, unless it's urgent, a text message can be answered the next day. There's no urgent need usually to do that at night. So put your phone away and have your knitting right there, maybe in the kitchen, maybe even where you plug your phone in so that it's right next to it and you don't even have to look for it. It's right there. And then take 30 minutes or so and just knit a few rows. I know you have the time to do that if you have the time to scroll Instagram, 100%, right? And what you can also do is pair the knitting with another habit, obviously not your phone habit, but something else that you are already doing. So for example, at night, that could mean you make a tea, right? And maybe you watch a show and you can knit while you watch the show. So there you have two things that you can combine that might help relax you. In the morning, you can combine it with your morning routine, with your, having a cup of coffee in the morning. Instead of immediately feeling like you're shot out of a cannon, get up 15 minutes earlier, take some time to actually knit some stitches, drink your coffee, and you'll feel like a brand new person. It is such a difference than getting up and being immediately rushed. So just think about a couple of ways where you can weave in knitting into the day that is already the way it is, right? Where do you have just a few gaps and a couple of pockets of time? I gave you a few examples, car pickup line. I really enjoy knitting when my children are at activities in the evenings or during the day, where I take them to like a gym class or dance, things like that. And I always take my knitting because you never know if you have 5 minutes here or there. And I think that's the greatest thing about this craft, is that you will get used to it more and more to have it with you. And as you have it with you, you can make the intentional choice. When you're out, you can be like, oh, I'm going to pull out my phone, look like everyone else around me. Or you can turn it into a game and be like, you know what? I'm not going to be like all those people around me. I'm going to grab my knitting. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be the mindful person in the room. While everyone else is just staring at their phones, wasting their time, I'm going to make something and I'm going to enjoy it. So I encourage you to try that out. And I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it. All right, friends, here is the fun part. You do not have to do this alone. It's so fun. I'm so excited about the Phone Down, Needles Up challenge. And I'm officially inviting you to the challenge right now. It's going to be 5 days starting April 21st. So it's going to be Monday through Friday. And I dare to say it's going to be so good. You will get daily bite-sized prompts to help you make time for knitting and to help you put boundaries around your phone usage time. it's going to change the game. If you're already there, you can be still part of the challenge. There may be something that you learn, or there may be something that you can contribute, because we also have a supported community. It's all happening inside the Facebook group that we already have for the Knitting Mamas community. So we're going to just put all the challenge-related content in there as well. So welcome you to get into that group right now. And you also will get accountability to put your phone down and instead pick up your needles. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And you can join us at theknittingmamas.com/challenge. All right, that is it for today's episode. If this episode helped you think about knitting in a new way, I would love it if you share it with a friend, or better yet, send them the link to the challenge so you can do the challenge together. I think that would be so fun. I really, truly hope that I made some valid points to convince you that knitting is definitely something that is worth making time for, that you are worth making the time to knit and to really kind of harness the power of this hobby. If you don't know how to knit yet and you're like, wow, I made it to the end of this episode, I really want to learn this because that sounds amazing, you can go and download the cheat sheet that I have for you, the 3 things that you need to start knitting. You can just go to theknittingmamas.com/start to download that cheat sheet. It's completely free. And until next time here on the podcast, pick up your needles, throw that phone in the corner, and hopefully join us next week in the Phone Down Needles Up Challenge. Can't wait to see you there. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on today's episode. I hope you're walking away with a bit more inspiration and a few ideas to make your self-care a priority. If today's chat gave you a little boost, I'd love it if you could leave a 5-star review on iTunes. This helps other moms discover the podcast and start finding more calm and creativity in their day as well. And don't forget to join us over in the Knitting Mamas community on Facebook by going to theknittingmamas.com/group. Thanks again, and remember, you deserve time for yourself to recharge and feel your best. Catch you next time on the Knit the Stress Away podcast.